It's on for Miami Dolphins. The pressure, he's in trouble. Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! Jalen Waddle. It's a Dolphin touchdown. Going deep upfield on the near side. Man open. Touchdown! Looking deep. He's got it there. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it for a touchdown again. Touchdown! Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
All right, huddle up, huddle up. We're gonna crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, 80. Wait, set. Drivers, start your engines.
This is the Finish Line.
I coached some great offensive linemen in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs to that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. BallGame.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. It is Wednesday. You know what that means. We're here to greet you at the Finish Line. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, the legendary Richmond Webb, the Triple OG, on time when Richmond messages him, but not when I do, Mr. BallGame.
Come on,
I had to, bro. Gentlemen, bro, we feeling sassy. We feeling good. It's 3 wins in a row. The quarterback comes back, and all of a sudden, everything is back on track, gentlemen. It's a beautiful, like the intro says, it's a beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan when we're winning, isn't it?
yes, indeed. Indeed. Winning cures all. Even the idiot, even the craziness of some of the idiots out there that still hating on this kid. You can't take our shine away, man. It is what it is, bro.
You can't dull the diamond that is Tua Tagovailoa.
Facts. Big facts.
Richmond, how you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm just as happy as you guys are. Like you said, 3 in a row, 6-3, and we're 1 game out of first place. So love the Jets took care of business with the Bills. We sitting right where we are. I mean, the Jets have definitely played better than what I expected them to this year. But it just shows you can't underestimate anybody. But man, the way this offense is coming together and the way the efficiency of it, the execution of it, not only, Waddle and Tua and Cheetah, Gesicki, the receiving core, but the offensive line, I watched them, man, they've been playing pretty good the last couple of weeks. And it's kind of like what BallGame said. He said about, week 6, everything would come together because we had so many different moving pieces and stuff, but it's coming together. We just got to get the defense back on track, and that's when it's really going to get scary. But the offense got their back. They've had the defense had our back the last couple of years, so we're just paying back a little deal. But I think it's going to come together. But man, like you said, it's a good time to be a Dolphin. I'm excited and looking forward to the next one.
Mm.
Yeah.
How you feeling, BallGame?
Well, I like to be right. I don't really care oftentimes to gloat about it, but for the most part, I think we're right where we wanted to be. Maybe 1 or 2 games that we lost, we probably should have lost. But nevertheless, football is football, man. You lose players sometimes, and injuries take guys with me. But for the most part, I've seen some monumental growth up front from the offensive line. See these guys out there really setting out to ensure that the passes that Tua are throwing, that they're actually catching them. I see a lot of hands catching, not body catching. You know what I mean? Guys are being complete professionals. The Jekyll and Hyde approach that the defense has kind of has me concerned to some degree. But for the most part, man, I'm happy where we are. It's okay when you have an offense that's clicking along, like ours, to come through and and save the game for you, or put the game away, or put it in a position where we have a chance to win every week. And for the most part, the defense did go out there and have to stop them on the last drive. So at least for one drive of last game, they actually went out and did their job. And then we ended with the ball in our hands. We could go out there and take the knee. So it was not the way we predicted it. I didn't think the Bears would put up 32 points on us. But any given Sunday, you got to be prepared for people to step up and be willing to give you their best shot. And hats off to the Bears for doing that. But we came out victorious on the other end, so it's always a pleasure and happy to be able to report that back and talk about it. So,
well, I mean, let's look at it this way. We didn't expect we would see a battle of like the league's future quarterbacks here. You know what I mean? With Tua Tagovailoa and Justin Fields having the game he had. Justin Fields, I mean, the guy rushed for 178 yards on 15 carries and a touchdown. Add in the fact he passed 17 of 28 for 123. The guy put up 123 yards in the air, but still managed over 300 all-purpose yards. Tua Tagovailoa threw for 302, the most of any quarterback against that 5th best league-wide pass defense that the Bears had coming into that game. Lit them up pretty easily. Now had some struggles on some reps, on some potential game-sealing drive, 3rd down throws, the Smythe throw, and the Waddle in particular. The Waddle throw comes to, he just wasn't driving through the football, relying too much on touch. The Smythe throw was a clear miscommunication because they talked about it after the game and such, right? So, it ended up being kind of like, heading into that, if you would have asked us, we would have seen probably the best quarterback duel of this season thus far, Richmond. Would you have believed me if I would have said Justin Fields and Tua Tagovailoa after 9 weeks of football would have been the best quarterback matchup this season? Because it was, borderlining historic here. I mean, let's be honest, okay? Correct me if I'm wrong. Justin Fields set the single game rushing record, right? For a quarterback?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tua Tagovailoa did the first thing that a man you played with, Richmond, the best natural thrower of the football ever, Dan Marino, never did. First Dolphin quarterback to ever have consecutive games of 300 plus passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. And, it's not like Marino never faced 2, 3, 4 bad teams in a row, given all the schedules he played from the 80s through to the 90s. I mean, he was afforded the same opportunities. That's just how NFL schedules work, and he never could do it. I mean, we saw pretty much a historic matchup, Richmond, and color me shocked. I mean, it was great for viewing, but color me shocked.
Oh yeah, well, I think the thing you look at is it was 2 young quarterbacks, and they both brought their A game. Like you said, I didn't expect.
But I expected it from Tua, Richmond. I didn't expect it from.
Yeah. No, I didn't either. I mean, if it was, I think people would expect more, like if it was the Chargers and the Dolphins.
Yeah, exactly.
But man, hats off to Chicago. I mean, I don't know if it's game. It just shows when you got a dual threat quarterback, if you let him break through containment or whatever, don't have a guy spying on him. And
we did. We went from 1 spy set to 2 spy sets, and we couldn't contain the guy. The way he hits the edge, Richmond. The guy gets to the edge like Lamar Jackson. He's there in the blink of an eye.
Well, he's got to be pretty fast, because I was watching the game and one of the announcers or something said he was clocked at 21 miles an hour. I guess a week or so ago. So That's rolling. So yeah, that's rolling. So
You know what? We didn't do ourselves any favors though. Defensively, we didn't play it right. You know what I mean? Anytime you got a guy that's that mobile, you got to be a little more disciplined up front. Well, I mean, yeah,
because look at how we contained Lamar last year. We contained him with a lot of cover zero, right? And we played a lot of man. We don't have the personnel to play how we contain. I mean, we went to a lot of 5-6 DB packages, the Ruby Diamond stuff against Lamar last year. We can't, because of all our injuries, we can't play them the same way, those mobile quarterbacks, the same way we could play Lamar in primetime last year.
I get that, but the number one rule for playing a mobile quarterback is that you got to hold your water. There were a lot of instances where our guys, instead of going just butt deep, that's taking 2 steps up the field and then playing the outside shoulder of the tackle or whoever was blocking him at that point. We was 4 or 5 steps deep, and by that point, you're giving him an out because now he's got blockers in front of him to part the sea for you. If we'd have just held our water and and went butt deep, we'd have had a better chance of containing him. We didn't do it. We weren't disciplined enough up front. And that's what killed us. I don't think it was a matter of. I do agree that we did it a lot differently previously with Lamar, but in this instance, I kept going back watching over and over again. We had no discipline up front on the read option whatsoever, and we always went to, which was amazing to me, that we were always going to the running back. Like the running back was not the biggest threat. But if you had to tell me as a defense coordinator who you're going to shut down on the read option, I'm taking quarterback every time.
Oh, agreed. The problem is Khalil Herbert was averaging almost 6 yards a carry heading into this game. That's why they respected him, right? It wasn't something you could have shook we get deep because we got such gifted pass rushers. You know what I mean? They're so explosive off the line. And that's what they do. And really, that was how we beat Lamar last year, right? We just kept him continuously under pressure. And then when we tried to contain, we had like 6 DB packages. And so we got guys that could move with him laterally, right? And we got so many injuries. Like I was talking with someone, and it's really a big ripple effect of the Brandon Jones injury, right? And if Brandon Jones wasn't injured and Byron Jones was playing, it doesn't matter if Trill and all these guys went down. We could,
you still be able to play a lot differently on the back end to be able to get after.
Because we would get caught. We're not getting the contributions in the run game from the third level like we do when all our guys are healthy too, right?
Right.
So, look at Roblo is probably the best defender on Sunday.
Yeah.
Right. And that wasn't saying overly much. Yeah, but just to see Justin Fields go off that way.
I think it's for me, although I was upset about the defensive performance, I really looked at what these 2 young quarterbacks put out there and did, man. And league's in good hands, bro. You got to really, yes, exactly. The league is in really good hands going forward when you got guys who can go out there and leave it on the field like that and put up those type of performances. The Bears just have to do a better job of surrounding Fields with some elite talent, and then, man, sky might be the limit. You never know, because the guy doesn't lack for athleticism. That's for sure.
We talked about it last week, boys. That road defense. It was struggling. Once again, any way you cut it, they just find a way to put our offense in shootouts. And this is back-to-back games where Tua Tagovailoa and the offense has really had to carry us for the majority of the game. Now we've kind of given our opinions on why it went the way it did with Justin Fields, but at the same time, this is a recurring theme, whether it's on the ground or in the air on the road. What are your, and we talked about it, right?
Yeah.
We were warning people about the Jekyll and Hyde defense that we were on the road compared to home now. What were your overall thoughts on the defensive performance? Now, I know BallGame, you said you were disappointed about it. Can you go further in depth?
Yeah, well, I'm disappointed because one, there's supposed to be a progression, always a positive upward progression of your defense in terms of what they're capable of being able to execute week in and week out. And then when you go through these spells where these guys are clearly looking as if they had no idea, or they didn't look at any film, or they don't really know what it is that boy is calling, then it starts to put in the back of your mind, like, what are they really doing? Is this guy really the guy that needs to be leading this group? And are these guys really committed to the process of supporting now the offense? Because, the defense was, for the longest time, the backbone of this whole team. You know what I mean? There was the one that's carrying the squad. And I think from a technique standpoint, there's so many things that jump out to me when I'm watching them out there. It's like, how are they not fixing this? And these are little things that can be assessed on the sideline to change in game. But I just don't know if the boy is back up in the box, or if they don't have the guys down on the sideline that are looking at these things on the tablet saying to themselves, okay, how do we fix this right now so that we don't have to continue getting bludgeoned by this? But I don't. The same way last year we said we didn't see any adjustments from the offense, I don't see any defensive adjustments either. The previous game, they came out after halftime and then they shut the team out, but it went down to a shootout. This one, So, and going forward, the competition doesn't get worse; it starts to get better towards the back end. So, my thing is, are we really looking at what we're putting out there as a product? And maybe he needs to scale back some things and get back to the basics, because at this point right now, we might be getting a little too cute. And if he is getting cute, then he needs to he needs to really just take the cuteness out of it and just play ugly football. That means just grind it out, grunt. You know what I'm saying? Go back to the basics, get in the gaps, because these guys don't seem to be able to do any other extensive things that they were slated as being able to do at this level. Because
they kept telling me that Tua and the offense was holding this elite defense, championship defense back, bro.
Yeah,
that's what they kept telling. Right now. Let me tell you this. Can I listen to this? On the road, because we updated these stats last time we talked about this, right?
Yeah.
Here's now after this weekend. On the road, they allow 33.6 points per game. At home, they allow 15.
Yeah, that's Jekyll and Hyde for real, bro.
Rushing the football, they allow 138.2 yards per game on the road. At home, they allow 91.5. Passing the football, they allow 256 on the road. They allow 261 at home. And the crazy thing is, you know how we keep talking about turnovers? They average just under 2 turnovers a game at home. On the road, they're averaging 0 turnovers a game.
Yeah, it's the crazy thing. And I was just talking about this to my sons. I said these guys actually go out there and they look as if the night before the game they're just going out and just hanging out, like they, you know what I mean? Like, let's hit the town, guys, and you know what I'm saying. And then because you can't tell not one player show up, but Eric Rowe, bro, consistently the whole game, like everybody. Misalignments, misassignments, you know what I'm saying? They out there slow to.
Bro, what are they doing in Detroit, bro?
They're
going 8 Mile?
Yeah, some premium strip clubs up there. You know what I'm saying?
This guy, allegedly, this guy. Look at Richard's face. All right, Mr. Innocent lived on the road. Let me know what's good.
It's called the Motor City for a reason.
Yeah, bro. Because it's Ford. No, your motorboat. I got you. This guy. Who would have thought BallGame would bring this show down to these levels, huh? Hey?
It's just frustrating, bro. Because you know what I'm saying. This group is too talented. Even with Byron sitting, standing on the sidelines. You know what I'm saying. Probably able to play. You know what I mean.
The linebacking core, bro. Like you saw. Like they brought in Tyndall as a spy. He whiffed on a tackle. Yeah. I talked about it when it happened. I saw it going around Twitter today. There was Phillips had missed on a tackle. We had chances to stop Justin Fields on a few of his runs. Because he converted third down with his legs a few times.
Several times.
You know what I mean? Richmond, what do you make of this What's your explanation of,
the defense?
Yeah, the Jekyll and Hyde defense. I know we've already talked about this, but it's
Yeah.
clearly got to be talked about again because, I mean, like that was not pretty at times.
Well, I think BallGame brought up some good points, and
The
I
strippers,
think
eh?
no. Nah, I don't know nothing about 8 Mile except Eminem did the movie there, but I know nothing about that. But one of the things and I kind of thought about when he said with Justin Fields, he was the more dangerous threat, and I can remember we would play certain teams when I was in college, and it was an option. It wasn't RPOs or whatever, but certain people had the quarterback and certain people had the pitch man, whatever, but you had to be disciplined no matter what. And I think that's part of it. I think when they were rushing the passer, I think, like Phillips and those guys, they don't probably have the sacks that they were probably projecting to have because he was, projected to have this blow up year. Not saying he's not playing bad, but he's not stat wise. You look at him and say, well, he should probably have more sacks at this point in the season. So you got those guys pressing, and then like the interior guys, at times I was watching the game, they would not stay in their pass rush lanes. Like I said, if they get too deep and it's a big wide hole open up, Fields would hit it and at there. And then you got injuries. That's definitely playing a part in it. And then I think they just pressing too hard rather than just saying, let's just play the defense and just stop worrying about the statistics and just go play. Kind of like what the offense is doing. Waddle, Tua, and Cheetah. We got the two. They're leading the league as far as catches of receiving yards, production, this and that. But I don't think they're pressing. I think they just go run their routes and just catch the ball, and they don't worry about, oh, you had 200 yards. And I only had 66. It's just they in sync, and I think they just a little bit out of sync. And I think they're pressing. And once they just tell us, hey man, let's just go out here, have fun, play football, be disciplined. I think it's gonna come around. The good thing is they are playing better at home, but we definitely need to play better on the road because you got to get in preparation. That even though we're playing well and we expect this to be a playoff team, barring injury. You got to be able to play well on the road, just like you do at home, because whatever, that's when the season starts. Each game is you win or go home, but you only got one shot. And if you don't take advantage of it, you'll be right back at home, whether you're at home or on the road. So we got to get it cleaned up.
What did Eminem say? You got to lose yourself in the moment if you want it.
There we go.
Right? You only get one shot.
I heard that.
Playoffs is only one shot. You know what I'm saying? Win or go home.
This show's off the rails already. I got ball game quoting Eminem and everything in my life thought I'd be sitting here. All right. I got to ask the question. We've talked about the MVP. But right now, is Tua Tagovailoa the best quarterback in the NFL? And I got some stuff to talk about in regards to that. Now, you look at right now, if you look at expected points added, if you look at, leaders across the league, the Dolphins are number one when they have 2 on the field. They're at 0.18. The Chiefs are number 2 at 0.17. When the Dolphins don't have 2 on the field, they're actually ranked 33rd. They're minus 0.11. A remarkable stat too. I'm going to explain. Football Outsiders, everyone knows they big time analytics, and they created an analytic DVOA. We've talked about it on Phinside the NFL before, but just for people who don't know what it is, it's a method of evaluating teams, units, or players. It takes every single play during the NFL season and compares each one to a league average baseline based on situation. DVOA measures not just yardage, but yardage towards a first down. 5 yards on 3rd and 4th are worth more than 5 yards on 1st and 10, and much more than 5 yards on 3rd and 12. Red zone plays are worth more than other plays. Performance is also adjusted for the quality of the opponent. DVOA is a percentage. So a team with a DVOA of 10% is 10% better than the average team. And a quarterback with a DVOA of minus 20 is 20% worse than the average quarterback because DVOA measures scoring. Defenses are better when they are negative. All right. So, anyways, quarterbacks. All right. Here's a remarkable stat. Quarterbacks with DVOA passing of over 50%, minimum of 200 passes in a season. Okay. Manning in 2004, 58.9. Brady in 2007, 54.1. Marino in 84, 53%. Manning in 2006, 51.3%. Tua Tagovailoa in 2022, 51%. He has the 5th highest DVOA ever by a quarterback in a season. Let's go even further than this because I made the case yesterday that he's the most valuable player, to any team out there. You look at it, the Chiefs have won with Chad Henne, right? Someone pointed out, the Bills laid a whooping on us with Matt Barkley in a second half a couple years ago.
Facts.
You look at a lot of these teams with good quarterbacks, they've won when that good quarterback leaves. Us, when you look at Flores' record and you look at what we did this year, we just can't win without Tua, right? Like Tua is overly valuable to this team. And, when you start looking at it, I mean, right now on 20-yard throws, he's got the 2nd best passing grade. He's got the best overall offensive grade of any quarterback in the NFL. He has the best passer grade of any quarterback in the NFL. You look at, everyone told us Tyreek was going to take a step back because he didn't have Mahomes. Now Tyreek's looking like he's going to rewrite the history books. And you look at Tua's games in the 6 games he started and finished this year, he has a 70.8 completion percentage. He's averaging 311.7 passing yards per game, which is ridiculous. He's at 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 9.3 yards per attempt, and a 120.3 passer rating. Right now, overall, even with missing, almost 3 games, he ranks 1st in passer rating, 1st in yards per attempt, 1st in pass touchdowns. He's 3rd in winning percentage. He's 3rd in completion percentage, and he's 3rd in pass to touchdown ratio, 15-3. I mean, it's just a different level. And I mean, look at the last 2 weeks, like it's just, he's taking it to another level, boys. And, I've been showing the charts when you put at EPA per play, and over completion percentage over expected. Tua Tagovailoa is the most efficient quarterback in the NFL when you start breaking down the analytics of those charts by like a mile. Like it's not even close. I've showed them every week. Right now, is Tua Tagovailoa the best quarterback in the NFL? Is he and listen, we all know how it goes. Just because you're the best this year doesn't mean you're going to be the best next year, okay?
All right.
Right? Tom Brady ain't the best every year. But in 2022, is Tua Tagovailoa the best quarterback in the NFL? Richmond, let me know. What do you think, bro?
I think he's having a hell of a year. He's definitely one of the top quarterbacks in the league right now. I mean, I think it's definitely, if you look at, and that's what a lot of people are looking at, comparing him to last year versus this year's, it's not even close. But we all knew that certain things had to happen. And it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. If you don't surround him with playmakers, if you don't surround him with a decent offensive line or whatever, you're never going to really see that guy's true potential. But I think we all knew it. We talked about it on this show. And, we've gotten a lot of slack. And I know Reason, you've been one of his biggest defenders, and BallGame would definitely call anybody out and this and that. But, I mean, the stats and stuff is good for me. But when I see what I see on the field, we always have a thing as players is the film don't lie. And when you watch film on this kid and see how he goes through it, and he goes through it, his progressions, it doesn't take him long to go through it, hit the receiver. I mean, it happens so fast. I was looking at the all 22s and some of the boots and stuff. Sometimes it's like a naked boot. And before the defensive end can recognize that it's nobody blocking him, by the time he recognizes the ball is already out, it's just when you see that, he's almost got like a, you know how you buy a new computer and they be talking about the processing speed, and the RAM and all that. It's so much
Richmond,
faster.
is it clear for you that the lights went on and the game slowed down for him right now?
I think it's the offense. I think the offensive system we running now, it fits him.
It's perfect.
I mean, some of the stuff we was doing, and that's why I say when you're a good offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, you look at the player, you look at his skill set, you look at his strengths, this and that, and you design it to where you can get the maximum production out of that player. And I can remember when Coach McDaniel took the job, there was a video where he called Tua at the game. He said, I expect you to do great things, but you're going to have to work. This kid's never had a situation where they've had to push him to work or they said he's lazy, this and that. So I knew he was going to get the results, but it's just like if you took Tua and tried to get him to run Lamar Jackson's offense, it wouldn't work out good. But vice versa, you took Lamar. But
it's not Madden.
It's not. It's not. So that he's definitely in the conversation. I know we're about halfway, but if you looked at halfway, he'd probably be MVP of the league. I mean, he's knocking on. He's in the top 2 or 3 right now. I mean, he is balling all out.
I think it's him, Hurts, or Allen. Ball game.
Yes, sir.
You know, while everyone was saying, hey, I want to see him with Sean Payton as the next Drew Brees, I was telling everyone, no, I want to see him under Kyle Shanahan's offense. Like, do you think he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now in terms of play this year? And I mean, you know, I've been preaching he's the best third down quarterback in the NFL. Did you know he has the highest third down passer rating since they began tracking passer rating since 1991? I mean, this guy has a passer rating of 147 on third down, and 6.9% of Tua's attempts have resulted in a touchdown this year. Ball game. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's for me, man. You know, when you go back through and think about what he had to endure to get to this point, right? We never really gave up hope that he would get an opportunity to be able to showcase his talent, and that the team would hopefully put pieces in place to be able to support the thing that he does well. You know what I'm saying? With his elite accuracy and his processing and things of that nature. The fact for me at this point now that he's where he is not surprising to me. I'm just glad that everybody is now taking the opportunity to sit back and truly watch what's happening. And for me, when you look at the body of work that he's putting in, and you know, in regards to his counterparts that are on other teams, it's not even close. So for me right now, he is the number one guy. I don't think there's another player out there now with more value to their team in regards to. We lost 3 games without him, but we won 6 with him. You feel me? He started and finished. He's 6-0. You feel me? And that in itself tells you the value of the player to the organization and to the guys, because you couldn't get the other quarterbacks on the roster couldn't get this type of success going with the same players that we had. But you flip Tua back in, he comes back, and they don't miss a beat. So, and I'm not surprised. You know what I mean? I'm actually elated that we actually sit now with an opportunity to be able to look around and tell people, like, you know what? I'll be the first to say it. I was like, I don't want a quarterback, right? I'll go back to this. But I went back and did my research, studied him up, looked at him, and I said, you know what? I see what they see. I see what y'all saw. And I jumped on board because I said, you know what? If nothing else, I know how important the quarterback position is to have one, with the guy coming out of college who had the elite skill sets that he already possessed. If they give him the time and they don't rush him through the process, this guy will be able to do it at the next level as long as they surround the talent, put the talent around him, because no quarterback, I don't care who it is, quarterback has been successful in the NFL without really good supporting cast. You feel me? You can't take a quality. I mean, and people will say, well, Tom Brady did it, but no, when you look at what he did in New England, those guys that he was throwing the ball to were all exceptional route runners. They were all over the top meticulous in their craft of being able to get in and out.
He didn't start putting up gaudy numbers until after he played with Moss.
Exactly. So, and then they changed that that offense where Marsh was completely different than the one that he did when he only had Welker and Gronk. You see what I'm saying? So, it just blew me away that people would want to go back and say, "Oh, well, it's because of Tyreek, this, that, and the other." I always say it: quarterbacks, wide receivers, and quarterbacks, they depend on each other. But at the same time, if the player that the quarterback is throwing to is subpar, you can only shine up. You can shine up a turd, but it's still a turd. You know what I'm saying? By the end of the day, you're not gonna get a diamond, and they got him diamonds. So, and now you're seeing we got diamonds, and Tariq's always.
But hold on, remember what did we say? We said if you give this team, if you give them a line, you give them weapons and a competent staff, you're gonna see something because of how he flashed when he didn't have anything ball game.
Exactly.
And we kept though that you're making excuses for him. Those are excuses, and we kept telling people, no, that's the context of the situation. Watch, that's what the film tells you.
Yeah,
and people dug in, and now all quiet on the Western Front like it's the 40s, bro.
Yeah, but that ain't really quiet. They quiet, but they're silent. They're slowly out here saying, "Oh yeah, he's my quarterback."
No, they want him to slip up. Yeah. No, some of those guys looking for him to slip up because the audacity of them ball game. These people who tried to tell this fan base that he was never going to be anything, he was a bust. Now the audacity. Oh, I expect 300 or more yards against the Bears and the Lions. I expect him to do this against the audacity, bro. The audacity.
Yeah.
And they still don't want to give him his flowers, man. It's ridiculous, man.
It's okay. It's
ridiculous.
Okay. You know, just because
y'all can celebrate the Super Bowl in the corner of the room while we all party.
They don't get to come to the center. You know what I mean? You stand off in the corner. We'll allow you in just because we ain't gonna be haters, but at the same time, we see you over there. Yeah, you stand over there
and we got to pay for the party favors somehow.
Yeah.
So.
and the good thing about it is Tua keeps receipts too, because I remember that little dig he did at the media was that last week when he said, "Oh, I threw a pretty good deep ball or something."
And I know how loud these YouTube voices can be in the community, and I know they know about us. All I'm gonna say is, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, that I played the right one on this. All right, that's all I gotta say. Because I'm good, baby. I'm good in that building. And they're like, "Oh, Reason, the man who's okay, cool, we good." Yeah, so we good on this side. Me, BallGame, and Richmond walk in that building with our chest bumped out.
Yes, sir.
All right, so one thing I didn't want to talk about is all the narratives he's killed, guys. We're gonna stick with Tua. This is let's take some victory laps.
Yeah, let's do it.
And with the narratives, bro, it's almost Christmas. So I got my Jolly Saint Nick on, made a list. I checked it twice. So I made a list.
Cole in their stocking. Who getting Cole in their stocking?
A lot of people. Hey, Cole with Tua's face slapped on it. All right. Remember the narratives, guys? Let's go with the narratives. Let's go over the list of narratives that Tua's killed already 9 weeks into the season. The narrative that Flores didn't hold them back. Do you guys notice that a lot of people that hate on Tua are still Flores supporters, and they still cling to, oh, Flores wasn't the problem. Flores wasn't the problem. And now you look at the offense, you look at where we've gone. Flores was clearly the problem. Like we said, lack of weapons and protection were excuses, not context. He murdered that. Doing things that Marino never did as a passer when they tried to tell y'all he was a bust.
Right.
Never will ball versus good defenses, and yet we just saw what he did to the number 5 overall pass defense. We kept being told that he was going to be detrimental for Tyreek and hold his career back. Tyreek's on pace to rewrite the receiving record books.
Yeah.
The other one too, remember, we were told he's holding this defense back from a championship, and he could never carry us to a win or win a shootout.
Done it quite often this year so far. So that's out the window.
This is and we still, like, you look at all the narratives that this kid's already starting to kill and put to rest. And I said this to someone yesterday, and I think I said it on air. There's only so far you can move the goalpost till you run out of field.
Said that last night.
Yeah. So, that one's coming, but I wanted to talk about one specifically because I did notice the thing. Am I wrong? Have you guys noticed that a lot of the Tua haters in this community are, they're Flores supporters and they don't want to admit that, hey, Flores wasn't the guy.
Right.
They got it wrong. I know it's hard to admit, but I called him going into last season. I said he was a glorified defensive coordinator. And you look at where our offense is, gentlemen, especially with how our defense is this year and the injuries were racked up. Thank God we made the move to McDaniel, no?
Yeah.
Because, what would we be doing offensively right now? This would not be, we would have lost to the Bears.
Wasting his career.
We would have lost to the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me we wouldn't have lost to the Bears. All right. Now, continuing on. We talked about Justin Fields. He had a career day, reset the rushing record for quarterback in a single game. Ball game.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive side of the football. Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. Should we be worried?
Yeah. Always. Because those are two very talented running backs. And those guys are violent as hell and extremely physical. And if we show up with this lackluster effort of physicality that we've shown in the last couple of weeks, yeah, they're going to run right through us. You know what I mean? And that sets up them to be able to do a lot more things, from their past, for the play action game, which doesn't bode well for us. The goal should be neutralize the run so that it forces Jacoby to do things off, that he's not going to be necessarily accustomed to doing. Yeah, you got to stop the run against these guys because everything with them starts with those two guys.
They've rushed for 1,146 yards between the two of them. 841 of those are Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb right now is averaging 5.6 yards a carry.
Yeah, he's a load, bro.
Yeah, he is.
He is a load to take on in any hole. You know what I mean? That we got to be gap sound up front.
Bro, he always has 10
Definitely
touchdowns ball game.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
This guy's on pace for 1,700 yards
They said,
and 20
Derek
touchdowns.
Who? I said Derek who? Because me personally,
Chubb's been my guy.
I think Chubb's the number one back in the league.
Yeah.
So
he's just been hurt and missed time over the past couple of years, right?
Yeah.
He's just such a stud. You know what I mean? Other than that, what
this
are
would
we
be the
really
game.
about?
No, nothing. But this would be the game, but then again, we're talking about a group that really and truthfully are Jekyll and Hyde, bro. But they could go out and take care of business against these guys and show the league that we can be physical and win a physical game because it's going to be a dirty game, and that's the game that the Browns want to play. That's the way they beat the Bengals. They beat the brakes off the Bengals by roughing them up.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So they don't want nothing more than to be able to possibly try to come out and emulate the same game plan against us. Get their hands on the receivers. But I don't think defensively, our offense against their defense doesn't worry me as much. It's their offense and that ground attack against our defense because we haven't done a really good job of freaking handling it up front.
Let me ask you this, ball game. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Are you not so much as because this is the thing, the one relief I find with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt is they're more gap interior runners, and we've been pretty steady and stable on the interior. It's when you can get to the outside of us that it's a problem. That's why I'm worried about a team like San Fran because of that outside zone getting to the edge quick. Are you not as worried? You're still worried, but are you okay, on a scale of 10, you're not a 9 or 10?
No,
because they're interior runners, right?
Right. The thing for me is that they pound, and then they break one. You feel me?
Yeah.
The goal is to wear you down, right? Whereas we need to be a lot more formidable up front and ensure that they set the tone early and often to get them discouraged about trying to keep running those guys up inside. That's the thing for me, and we just gotta take it away. They gotta play sound up front, and
the scary thing about a good run game like that is that's really the best way to neutralize our offense. That's the only way is keep us off the field, run the ball down our throat, control the clock, and then we're pretty much that's hey, that's how the Bills got 93 plays and kept us limited, right?
Yeah.
So they still lost, but Richmond, I'm gonna ask you this. This is your time to shine. The spotlight is on you. You face so many good edge rushers, so many premier pass rushers. Myles Garrett is at the top of his game right now. How in the blue HELL do you stop a force of nature, a freak like Myles Garrett if you're Teron Armstead or Brandon Shell, who Brandon Shell's been playing phenomenal?
Yeah, and then sometimes he moves in down over the guard at certain situations. But the first thing is to try to recognize where he is, and if he's to the right or to the left, if you can slide your protection toward a guy like that, because he kind of puts me in the mind of like a Julius Peppers or Javon. He's kind of one of those freakish guys that, he check all the boxes. Plus, he runs. He's probably faster than most linebackers. But he's 6'4", 6'5", and just chiseled up, this and that. So, and I remember he was at A&M when he played there. But he's one of those freak of nature type players. But he's also the type of player that if you let him get going, he can disrupt the offense and make one of those big time momentum swing players with a sack, forced fumble. He has that type of capability. So definitely knowing where he is, a ton of film study, seeing if you can pick up anything that he gives away when he's going to do a certain type of move, whether he's slanting down hard inside or whatever. It's not only just on the field, but you got to mentally be prepared to play this game. And I'm concerned, but I'm not really concerned because, the way Coach McDaniel has been doing this play calling and setting up the offense. It happens so quick that some defensive players just look lost. They think the ball's going over here and it goes here. And I saw that against Chicago, and I saw it again against Detroit. It was happening so fast that they couldn't adjust to the speed of it. So, and the good thing we're at home is different. We were in Cleveland, real loud, and you couldn't hear the snap count and this and that. They should be able to hear that. So, I think like BallGame, and like you said, the thing that kind of concerns me is being able to shut down that running game, because if Cleveland gets that running game going, it eats up the clock and you have a limited number of possessions, and that could really slow our offense down. So, yeah, he concerns me, but that running game does. They
average 164 yards on the ground.
Yeah. They got some dogs back there in their backfield, and they are physical. They look like they look for contact.
They
ain't running out of
any of it.
Yeah. And Myles Garrett, guys, he's number 2 in the NFL behind only Zadarius Smith. He's tied with Matt Judon. He's number 3. He's behind Zadarius Smith and Judon. He has the 3rd most pressures, but he has 41. Jalen Phillips has 37. The big difference between him and Phillips is he's got 7.5 sacks. He's getting home right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you talk about that. Guys, you know what's crazy? This is the number 4 and number 5 total offense. They are the number 4 total offense. They average about 385.8 yards per game. We're number 5. We average 380.4 yards per game. We're the number 2 pass defense. We're the number 2 pass offense. They're number 3 rushing offense. We're the number 10 scoring offense, and they're the number 7 scoring offense. So, we're at home, though.
We're at home.
So we should get the better version of our defense then.
I'll pray the Hard Rock Sun.
Yeah. The guys.
Ra the Sun God.
The guys ain't going to, going out, wasting their energy doing other things. They're home with their wives and kids.
If they're doing it in another town, we all know what Miami's famous for. So if they're doing it in other towns, they best be doing it in Miami. Because at least they're going to get the quality there that you're not getting in Detroit.
Yeah, but you're at home there, so there's more eyes that know you. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't really slide out, and be incognito in your own city. You know what I mean?
Bro, throw on a hat and some glasses. Roll.
It ain't easy.
Oh, yeah, I know what time it is. Richmond, is it easy?
I don't know what you're talking
Was it
about.
easy?
Bro.
Was it easier on the road or at home? At home,
I don't know what
Richmond.
you're talking about, bro.
I plead the fifth. That's Chappelle's fifth. I plead the fifth. All right. So let's get into what are you guys' overall thoughts for this game? And give me your predictions. BallGame, we'll start with you.
Thank God it's a home game. We'll get the best version of our defense, hopefully. I still don't necessarily – statistics are one thing, but, when you're on the field live with it, I just don't see a secondary or a defense able to still match up with what we put on the field offensively. I think this group is going to be quite bewildering to a lot of different teams in terms of how they're going to try to attack them and stop them. So for that, I think it'll be another great showing by the offense. Just hoping that the defense, can get a couple stops, because every stop we get, I believe that's going to be a whole other series of points for us on the board in some form of fashion, because I know for a fact that there's really the only people stopping us is ourselves. So, they punt to us, that's going to be a score. Every time we can get them to punt to us, we just keep running up the scoreboard. So, just can't, like I said, over again, just can't let them get started in that run game, because they run,
What's the
they
score?
start. So we put up 35-14.
Snap diggity. He don't think the run game is a big issue at all. Attaboy, BallGame. I love it.
They got to get away from it at some point. They got to get away from it.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. You want to force him to get away
force
from
them out of it. Yeah.
Force it in Jabroni Brisket's hands. Richmond, your thoughts on the game, and let's get your opinion on this. Do you believe if Shell continues to play like he has been, he could get extended? So thoughts on that, the Browns game, and your score.
I love the way Shell's playing. I definitely think, for a guy to come in, not be a starter, come off the bench, and I watched him this last game. He played really, it was nice pockets, this and that. He'll have his hands full this week, if he faces, Garrett or whatever. But definitely somebody that I would look at giving an extension to it. Now is the time. Maybe after the season's time, because I think you can really get him rather than let him get a couple of years and then like, we got to really pay him. I think you can find him for a bargain if you go ahead and sign him. I really like the way he's playing. He's definitely been a help, and especially with the injuries we had in the offensive line, he's been a huge breath of fresh air. So I like him. I have no problem with that. And then, what was your other question too? I'm sorry.
What were your thoughts on the Browns Dolphins game, and then your prediction?
Yeah, my thoughts is and I started thinking about it once BallGame said that, but I agree. If we go out and strike early and often with the opportunities we present, and even though they get the running game going, if we can kind of stop them where it gets to where it almost forces you to say, okay, we got to abandon the run, and if the offense goes out and click. My score prediction was 31-21 Dolphins. But I think the key is being able to stop that, and then for our offense to go and strike early and often. But I think they'll have some success running, but I expect our defense to play better than they have the last couple of weeks. So I got the Dolphins winning 31-21.
Yeah, I think if you really, like we talked about, if you force the game into Jacoby's hands, that's what you want to do with a team like this. And he's been turning the ball over too. I think he already has 5 interceptions on the season, which I think he has 7 passing touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So he's not really, and he's only, what is he? He's not averaging anything crazy a game this season.
That run game, man, carrying them.
Just feeding off that that run game. I
Play action
mean,
passes.
look at it, guys. Look at this. Okay, so let's
Who's
go
their
over his
top receiver?
Amari Cooper.
Oh yeah, that
So
guy.
over his last 5 games, he's had 2 games where he's thrown no touchdowns, and he's thrown 3 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. And they've lost 4 of their last 5. They beat Cincinnati, like BallGame had mentioned. But overall, Jacoby's just been like, I mean, we know who he is. We saw it last year, and it ain't anything pretty.
Right.
Yeah, and yeah, there's a good question here, and I just want a yes or no. Just give me a yes or no.
Uh-oh.
Because you're going to need to depend on guys like this during the playoffs. Can Jason Sanders be trusted?
Yes.
Yeah.
BallGame threw me for a loop. Richmond, I expected. He picks us to win every week.
At home. At home.
Yeah, at home. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me rephrase that.
I don't trust him on the road.
Okay, do you trust him in the playoffs?
No. Not if we ain't at home.
Okay. No. You trust him at home. I get it. Caveat.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm not going to ask Richmond because I know what his answer is.
I trust him.
Richmond would fall backwards. You did a trust fall with him. I'd be like, ain't no way, Jason.
No
way.
Not me. No, sir.
Fool me once. You know what I mean? Yeah. Always a pleasure, boys. Always a blast when we do this. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be back on Friday. We'll do a deeper dive into the Browns Dolphins game. We'll go over keys to victory, the matchup to watch, all of that jazz. And then on Sunday, we'll be live reacting to this game. Hopefully it's and then hopefully we're back here next week, gentlemen, and we're celebrating yet. We're getting spoiled here. Every time Tua starts, we get spoiled with the victory show. So it's always a good feeling,
bro. Hey,
Yeah,
we overdue.
I'm gonna tell you this: from the numbers Tua is putting up at the quarterback position to the winning we're getting, ain't no fan base deserve this more than us. Maybe the Lions, except maybe the Lions fans.
Yep.
Us and them deserve this the most. Let's be honest. All right.
I'm with it.
So
I take it all.
I will take every single one. All right, guys. We will see y'all next week, right back here next Wednesday for the Finish Line. Until then, as always, stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. And you already know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day, even beyond the grave in which we'll lay.